Before there was a factory-backed Corvette racing team competing and winning at Le Mans, Chief Engineer Dave McClellan needed privateers to campaign his all-new fourth-generation Corvette. One such privateer was part P.T. Barnum and part Southern gentleman. He was daring, charming, driven to win, and able to put together teams and sponsors willing to take any risk to make Corvette history. That man is our final inductee into the 2017 Corvette Hall of Fame, Mr. Tommy Morrison. Tommy grew up poor in Glasgow, Kentucky, but by the early 1980s, he was doing very well as a realtor specializing in timberland. Along with his friend and business partner Jim Cook, he got one of his clients to sponsor some road racing. That client was a subsidiary of Mobil One.
More than any other privateer, I'd say, especially in the early days. He was the king. He had the elixir and he was able to pull things together. And his really special way of finding resources to get things done still intrigues me. I mean, even that very first time, here he is, he and Jim Cook, who died way too early. Cook knew Goldstrand. Goldstrand knew Duntov, who put him on to McClellan when that, so now, okay, it's now 1984. They're thinking about trying to find a way to reintroduce the Corvette into some SEC endurance racing.
At that time, Porsches and Nissans were dominating in showroom stock racing, but Dave McClellan had led the effort to engineer a car that could beat them all.
The Corvette has a long history of being involved in amateur sports car racing and even the modified Corvettes in professional racing. With the 85 model, we had a meeting with Ralph Kramer and Herb Fischel and got agreement that we at the platform level would manage the race support of the 85 Corvette. One of the racers that was already involved with the Corvette was Tommy Morrison.
The problem was Dave couldn't just give cars away to race teams to do it. Tommy and Jim took the initiative and raised enough sponsorship money to buy 2 Corvettes. Together, they set out to prove that Corvette was back.
That's where we really got to know Tommy, and he went on that year to win the championship in SCCA Showroom Stock A, which is our highest class. And he did a marvelous job for us.
With testing contracts from Chevrolet and the help of Corvette engineers, who were also talented race car drivers, Morrison cars dominated on the tracks all over the country. From 1985 through 1987, his Corvettes won 19 out of 19 Enduros.
I thought driving for Tommy was great. There was never a hold you back kind of thing, like, you know, go out there, take it easy, we got to protect this car, you know, that kind of thing. There was never anything like that. He was all about winning, and whatever it took to win, that's what you do. If we finish the race and it's barely running at the end of the race, and you know it's only on 2 wheels and you're dragging your ass across the finish line first, that's fine.
Part of my assignment was to go to the various races, endurance races, and support them as best I could as the powertrain manager, making sure that we never ever lost a race to a Porsche. That was just unheard of. And then I joined his race team in '93, and we raced '93, 4, 5, and 6. So not only did Tommy Morrison do an awful lot for Corvette and certainly move this state-of-the-art, put Corvette back on the map. We never lost an escort endurance race. In fact, that was the end of it because Porsche didn't want to play anymore. So from that evolved the Corvette Challenge series, which was Corvettes racing against Corvettes.
These guys have won already this season. Tommy Archer won at Sears Point.
The magazines loved him, giving both Corvette and his sponsors lots of great publicity.
One example, in '84, '85, running the Corvettes with SCCA, we have Mobil sponsorship, and we have BFG tires, 2 of the main ones. And Tommy's working with them, getting full-page ads in magazines and newspapers talking about our wins. I remember my first national championship in a Corvette turned into a full-page ad in USA Today. It was just amazing the things he was able to get done like that really, really helped Corvette.
Along the way, however, someone approached Tommy with a crazy idea that had the potential of making history.
It was a record that was nearly 40 years old, set by Mormon Meteor on Bonneville Salt Flats. And the record was 161 miles an hour for 24 hours. Well, we had just produced a production car, the ZR1, with an LT5 engine that had a top speed of 180 miles an hour in street trim. Looked like a no-brainer. You know, let's go set a 24-hour record with a production car.
And we talked about doing that. We got the Mosport for the 24-hour, and we spent time with Tommy Morrison talking about it. And Tommy was just all over it. He says, "We got to do this. We got to do this." And so Tommy went right off and started talking to potential sponsors, and I started working on the engineering end. And we'd learned so much about the car from all the 24-hour races that we ran in the 1980s that we felt we really knew the car had enough performance. The aerodynamics was good enough, the power was good enough, the handling was good enough. Everything looked like this ought to work. Kind of the behind the scenes, I know Herb Fischel was head of motorsports at the time, and people like Ralph and Herb, they were all of the opinion there's very little chance that this is really going to work.
We said that couldn't be done, and in fact, we did it secretly. He did it secretly, so that in case they failed, which they were almost certainly going to do, we would not have to embarrass ourselves by reporting that we'd lost a car out there in the middle of the West Texas desert.
And it was all pretty much being done outside of GM. You know, we were taking vacation to work on the cars and run this effort. So obviously anything can happen. You can blow a tire and wreck the car or whatever, so there's definitely some real high risks to it. But we thought we had the risks covered as well as you possibly could for as risky a venture as it was.
And I was lucky enough to be part of the team, and I know basically the reason for that, because I was able to progress into some endurance racing at a professional level. It's very handy to have somebody that's got some driver skill that can also think about what the car is doing.
The car is really living up to expectations. We're having to run it pretty hard. We don't get an opportunity to do that very often. And it's really out there performing well. It's living up to our expectations. It's hard not to sometimes stand back a little bit in awe that we're producing this for the public.
The car is incredibly stable at 180 miles an hour. With the selective ride system that we have, it's essentially like riding down the freeway.
The car was just beautiful. It's amazing that a car that can come right off a showroom floor that can go out and run 180 miles an hour plus and be so comfortable to drive. It just, I mean, other than the ball of my foot tingling from pushing so hard on the throttle, trying to go faster, that was the only thing. I'm just absolutely thrilled to be part of this deal. You know, we're going to go down in history today. That's all I can say.
In the end, we were successful and broke the world record. Matter of fact, we broke 3 of them with the LT5 ZR1 car. The 24-hour, it was a 5,000 kilometer record, which was about 18 hours, I think. 24-hour record, obviously 24 hours, and then we did the 5,000 mile, which took almost 30 hours to do.
And it sure showed that the Corvette, in basically street trim, was up to the task.
I think all these people were pretty surprised when we really pulled it off. But it was quite the operation. I mean, it's not a highlight of your career; it's a highlight of your life to be able to go out and do something like that's successful.
Tommy's friends have many stories of their adventures with him. His accomplishments are legendary.
In my mind, there's nobody like Tommy. He's a survivor. He was somebody, again, that was a pioneer in showroom stock racing. He grew the program from a grassroots level to a big league team. Now looking at that Mobil 1 exhibit and thinking about what Tommy and what Jim did to bring Mobil 1 into the Corvette community. Here we are almost 30 years later with the relationship with Mobil 1 and Corvette, and it's stronger than ever.
So he was very good at doing that, thinking of some idea that would resonate with whoever the sponsor was or partner was that he was dealing with. And it was usually something that they would get really excited about really fast. You know, Mobile, an example would be getting Mobile 1 to be a factory fill on a Corvette. An idea like that can spark interest pretty fast. And they're not small ideas, they're pretty big ideas. So big that you, like I said, you'd never believe that you could possibly get it done. And he was able to do it. You know, getting the Corvette in the Smithsonian with Mobile, you know, that was a goal, something that somehow, because he'd been working with the Smithsonian, how he came up with this idea of doing something like that. And boy, when he brought that up to Mobile, they were all over it. Like that would really be a cool thing to do, and he got it done.
I've had the privilege of doing some design work and some graphic work for Tommy Morrison on his race car racing team. And the thing that people don't realize is that Tommy, he's well known for his successful team and his closed course speed record involvement. But the thing people don't understand, don't realize, is that he has been involved in a lot of stuff involving the Corvette. Behind the scenes involvement, behind the scenes gathering money and donations. And so he has done over the years a lot to promote the Corvette. And we've had a statue of Tommy in the Corvette Museum since day one. And it's about time we got the real man inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Every time he got in front of a camera, the first thing he would say is, "Thank you, Chevrolet. Couldn't have done it without a Chevrolet Corvette." So, you know, if you associated winning, and they won an awful lot of races in the Escort Endurance series, you connected that with Chevrolet and Corvette. All of that was essentially his gift to Chevrolet, right? It was a gift.
One thing about it, it couldn't have been done if it hadn't have been a Chevrolet. That's for sure.
For beating those Porsches, and for all the races he has won, for all the records he has broken, for all of the sacrifices and contributions he has made to prove that Corvette is a world-class race car, we proudly welcome Tommy Morrison into the Corvette Hall of Fame.